Ladies and gentlemen, this is my guest today is you're an OG. You can't say anything. He is an OG. He was there when I started getting traction in Hollywood, and part of the reason why. Very funny comedian, very funny actor. He was already doing big things when I started. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bruce Fine.
Jamie, I think the correction needed, the early correction, is that we were both in the inspired and aspiring phase at the same time.
You had more clout, though, when I started. I think so, because you were already at the L.A. Cabaret.
Okay.
And I think you were in...
I had won the funniest person in
the Valley contest. The funniest person in the Valley... I forgot to do that. Here's your credit.
I have an incredible story for you on that.
Bruce Fine. Wait, go ahead.
Second place, that was 1991. Carlos Mencia.
Number one?
Still pissed. To this day, when I see him. Can't believe you beat me in that contest.
Wait, you beat him?
Yes.
You were number one.
I was an unknown. Carlos was a regular at the Comedy Store and the clubs. And I closed with my Andrew Nice Clay, the nice man. Do you remember that?
I remember that was your big closer. Wait, how did it go? You could do a teeny bit.
The story on that was Dice was huge.
Humongous.
And we were all aspiring. And I was never a guy looking for a hook. I just wanted to be Seinfeld and Leno. You know, I just wanted to come out and do funny stand-up stuff. The opposite of you. You hate jokes.
I hate jokes.
Even back then, your signature bit was Jim Morrison as a kindergarten teacher, and you were like doing like your acid trip on the floor of the stage, and everybody's, what is this? And I'm like, this is great. This is like Andy Kaufman, you know, this is awesome. Am I killing you with these references?
I love you, bro.
All right.
God, it's touching.
I know, like an elephant.
Yeah.
So we were at Jerry's Deli with all the comics. It was like Chris Spencer, Sulu McCullough, Sean Wayans, Alex Thomas. We were just hanging out at Jerry's Deli, 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And Dice was the biggest thing in comedy. He was. People were lining up Sunset to see him when he was at the Comedy Store. And it was like when he was exploding. So we were just amazed by it, because here we are, we're like open micers, right? Mm-hmm. And we're like, we're just begging people to get on stage, and people are lining up to pay to see this guy. So it was the first superstardom we were witnessing.
Mm-hmm.
Live stream, right?
It was Steve Martin said it. It was the 70s with Steve Martin, the 80s was Eddie Murphy, the 90s was Dice. I mean, the late 80s, early 90s. He was the third arena act.
As far as like being like the Elvis of comedy. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And so we were, and everyone was goofing around and just doing like Dice impressions and like being even dirtier than he was. And, you know, and I said, it wouldn't be funny to be Andrew Nice Clay. And just the premise got like a laugh from comics. So I thought it had something. And then I was just like, you know, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, right? I take this chick out in a movie back to my place. I didn't lay a hand on her. Oh! She's like, nice, why won't you kiss me? Why won't you kiss me? I'm like, sweetheart, come on. Can't we just be friends? Oh!
Bro,
it's still funny, huh? Is it still funny?
I fucking remember this. You would murder with that.
Leather jacket, closer.
Bro, I remember you had the leather jacket. This was 31 years ago.
91. It was 91, bro.
Dude, that's such a good impression. Like, such a perfect on impression. So wait, so you came up with it in Jerry's.
Come up with a
staple.
Coming up, and all this stuff happened so fast. So it was the summer of 91. I'm here 3 years. I'm waiting tables.
Where?
Started at La Logia in Studio City, then Tribeca in Beverly Hills, worked La Toque on Sunset. Got fired from everyone. As soon as they find out you're a waiter,
you're a comic.
Actor, comic, forget about it. Because there's a lot of celebrities going to those places. I had a resume for restaurants. Mm-hmm. You couldn't just, get any job back then. Now they'll beg anybody to work in a restaurant. Back then, I needed a resume, which I had. Ken Steakhouse was like, world famous salad dressing. I worked at Ken Steakhouse every job.
I remember Jerry's was the get, but you had to start as a busboy, and even that was hard to get.
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, he was a busboy there. Sure. So wait, wow, Ken Steakhouse.
So it's so crazy because I said Jerry's and you said Jerry's. So here's the story. So I come out to be a comedian.
From Boston.
I'm in high school. What was your light bulb moment? When did you say to yourself, as a young Jamie Kennedy, I want to do that. I don't want to be like these other people in my neighborhood. I don't want to be working for the factory. I don't want to be working with my family in the insurance business or the factory business. I want to do comedy.
Lightbulb. The baby, well, it was like I felt different. I felt odd. I felt off, and I could mimic people, and people would laugh. So that was like a feedback loop. But really, it was a long story. I was starting to take a local acting class in Philly. I was like, I'll try. I don't know what this is. And it's a long story, but I got to be an extra in a movie called Dead Poets Society. And once I got on that set and I grabbed a carrot and Robin Williams was dipping a carrot in a hummus, I was done. It was a God intervening moment.
Similar circumstance, I was at Boston University. I was a wrestler, and I was getting interested in entertainment.
Oh, you do a lot.
I was a Division I wrestler. And I found out that this television show, Spencer for Hire, was looking for extras. You know? And
wow.
They desperately looking for extras. ABC show. And I read the books in high school, Robert B. Parker.
I did too.
Awesome, right?
Dude, we're so similar. Wow.
It's crazy, right?
Yes.
So
that was the only book you could read about famous people.
It was awesome,
and
right?
how to do stuff.
And I love that, like he was cool with the ladies, but he also like cooked. He described how he was cooking. I became that guy. I'm like cooking.
Yeah.
You see my videos.
Yes.
What's for dinner with Bruce? So I end up going to this casting office, and they're like, "Oh, you're great. We're gonna use you." So I did like 10 episodes
as an extra
in 1 year as an extra because it was such a small talent pool. So like 1 week I was at Fenway Park playing a fan. Like we're shooting at Fenway Park. Next week, Lexington Concord, the Battle of Lexington Concord. There was a real shooting. Supposed to be muskets, and then someone got shot. Every week it was fun. And then
high school or college?
College.
Okay.
And then I go to lunch, and there's like 3 tables for the whole set. So I'm talking to Robert Urich and Avery Brooks.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm thinking about going to L.A. And they're giving me advice. Can you imagine an extra coming up to the star of the show out here in L.A.? Security would take them away.
No, that's
insane.
A different world. You got it's
and on
the
Dead Poets
access
Society,
you got. Yes,
you had access.
I didn't talk to Robin. I tried to, but I just being on a set, seeing people that were 83 and a 12-year-old kid, we were all extras, and we all were like, "This is amazing." So we're all unified by the creative spirit.
It was a different time.
Yeah, it really was.
So my light bulb moment, if I just do a quick rewind, my light bulb moment was high school Tonight Show, watching comedians, and I never missed. You know, we recorded them on VCRs, and I'd watch it if I couldn't stay up or whatever. And I saw this young comedian, Jerry Seinfeld, and I was like, wait a minute, I was just goofing around with my friends talking about a similar thing. This guy's getting paid? That's a job? Like, what the hell am I doing? I'm out of here.
Was it the sock and the dryer bit? That's when I first discovered Seinfeld.
It was the tuxedo bit about, and then it was the payphone.
Yeah.
When you would go over the time and they would call, the phone would ring back.
Yeah.
And then you goes, you got all the, I forget how he did, but you know that you had all the confidence, like the operator's on you, put in more money. Oh yeah, sweetheart. You know what? I didn't think the connection was that good. You hear that? Tap tap. That's a quarter, babe. Like, you know, it was just
I
like
remember that.
It was just like sarcastic, and it was arrogant, and it was hilarious, and it was real life. And I was like, I'm gonna do that. Light bulb. And that was junior year in high school. So I graduate, go to BU, I wrestle, and then
Did you get a scholarship?
they didn't have a lot of money for wrestling.
But you went
hockey,
to BU.
Yeah, hockey, forget about it. Yeah, there's like 80 scholarships for hockey.
You went to BJU?
BJU, and I did
Or Emerson, too, is another big one.
School of Management, was called SMG.
Yeah, okay.
Sex, Money, and Greed. and who did I go to BU with? I went to an open mic to try to do comedy, and there was Greg Fitzsimmons.
Wow. He's Boston.
From BU. Wow. And another fellow student, a guy named Jeff Lipschultz.
Comedian, right?
Jeffrey Ross.
Oh, shit.
Those were the BU.
That was his name? That's his real name?
Yes.
Wow. He's a Boston guy, too?
I'm going to teach you a lot in this next hour, Jamie.
Dude, you're insane.
Okay,
I know you are.
Boston, yep.
Wait, I thought he was a Jersey guy. Wow.
Yeah, he's from Jersey, went to BU, and literally...
It really is.
By the time we
so many
graduated...
people went to BU.
By the time we graduated, like 4 years later... or a couple years later, not long after, Jeff was on Letterman doing the poems and taking off for the first time. Yeah.
Like 4 years.
Yeah.
Out of college.
Yeah, like
wow.
2 years. Yeah. And that was like, you know, that was Jeff with hair and Jeff doing cutesy stuff. And he evolved into the Roast Master General that we all know and love. So at any rate, light bulb goes off. Seinfeld. That's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to take you to Jerry's Deli, and we're goofing around with the nice clay. And now, the week that changed my life, the week that I went from being a waiter to show business. Finals of the Funniest Person in the Valley is on a Tuesday night in 1991.
Yeah, it was on a Tuesday.
Before the finals, and they had judges, celebrity judges.
And it was packed.
Milton Berle.
No.
Phyllis Diller.
No.
Gary Owen.
Wow.
The announcer of Laughing. Like, legendary comedy icons were sitting in Encino at this table judging us. It was insane.
Why did they do that?
It was unbelievable because it was like the Valley magazine and the sponsors, they just, they made it happen.
Do people listening understand how crazy this is? This was the greatest comedy club in the Valley, LA Cabaret.
Well, the only comedy club in the Valley, and this is before there was any last comic standing. There was never anything like contest. This was the only one.
You had legends. I remember how humongous this contest was.
So outside in the parking lot, an hour before we're going to do the show, America's Funniest People is there with the guys with the big cameras. Remember, they had these huge cameras.
Byron.
And Dave Coulier.
That's right.
So America's Funniest Videos was such a success with Saget, they spun it off and did America's Funniest.
I remember
videos.
this, yes.
And that was a lot of comedians' opportunity to do their bits and get stuff, get stuff on TV and get paid and get seen, right?
Yes, I remember we all tried to get in front of that
It
camera.
was a top 10 show.
Yes.
Al Berman was there.
Yes.
Okay, the whole crew.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, Julian Jones and Stevie D and Bobby, everybody, right?
Okay.
So we're out in the parking lot, and they're like, "Do you have anything?" And I'm going, "Oh yeah, I got this Andrew Nice Clay thing. Okay, let's do it." I do it out in the parking lot.
I think I was there.
Mother Goose, remember? I read the books. Whatever, right? Everything was a flip. So that's right.
Wait, this is they came to the Valley.
Be nice to people, okay?
Yeah.
So this is the Valley. So do that in the parking lot. Do my little Andrew Nice Clay bit. Then I go do the contest. Win the contest. I win $1,000. This is 91, and a year of bookings and press, and I'm basically overnight for me. I'm in show business, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I gotta work lunch shift the next day, but I'm wired. It's now 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Everyone's left, right? And I'm like, I just gotta go to Jerry's Deli by myself, I guess, and get some soup and celebrate that I'm now a comedian.
Yeah.
Walk into Jerry's Deli.
Yeah.
First table, Jerry Seinfeld.
No.
Sitting with Larry David, Michael, the cast of Seinfeld, the Lightbulb, the guy that made me say, I want to do this. I win that contest, and I walk into Jerry's Deli an hour later, and there's Jerry Seinfeld, Larry David, Michael, the cast of Seinfeld. They had rehearsal night, and they went to Jerry's. And I said to my waiter, I want to get that check. And the guy goes, Seinfeld's table? I'm like 23 years old, right?
Yes.
And I go, yeah. I can't explain it. Let me get that check. Make sure I get that check, right? And so he goes, okay. So all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, they're like, whoa, Larry David, whoa, Bruce, whoa. So they're like, hey, come on over, hey, what's going on? So I walk over. I don't know any of these people. I'm like, well, you can't pick up our check. What are you doing? You're a kid. I said, look, I just have to explain to you. When I was in high school, I saw you, Jerry, and I said, I want to do comedy. You inspired me. Tonight, can't make this up, I won the Funniest Person in the Valley contest. I won $1,000. I want to spend some of it on you guys. I feel like it's a pay. And they're looking at me like, wow, this is crazy, right? And then Seinfeld, without missing a beat, goes, doesn't Roseanne live in the Valley? Not congratulations. Not great job. Doesn't Roseanne live in the Valley?
Oh my God.
And right? And I go, yeah, but she wasn't in the contest.
Oh, great comeback.
Yeah, she wasn't in the contest. And then so Larry, they all congratulate me. I met Larry Charles, Larry David, Julia, Michael, everyone, right?
Oh my God.
And they're like, hey, good luck with your career and all that. And
you got the check.
And I think Larry David said, I should have ordered the lobster. Mm-hmm. Everyone had a line. It was funny. And I walked away.
You paid for the check, though.
I picked up the check.
Yeah.
It's like, it was like $80. I just won $1,000.
Yeah.
So I ended up that week. That's Tuesday night. Pretty good, right?
Insane. Okay. 91.
Thursday, my commercial agent calls and says, you got the Bud Dry commercial. Why ask why? Remember those? Why ask why?
I remember you got this.
Too tall, too short. That was me, too short guy.
Yes.
And too weird. That was guy looked like you. No, it was
yes.
Sean Whalen. Remember Sean Whalen?
Yes.
Character, of course, he's a great actor.
Yes.
So book that. You know, beer commercials were like 10, 15,000 back then, which is like 40,000, 50,000 now, right?
Plus
okay.
residuals.
That was Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday. Ready for this? Friday, phone rings. Real phone ringing because we didn't have anything else. And it was my agent.
Yeah.
America's Funniest People called. And they want you to come down to the show on Sunday. You're going to be on the show Sunday. You're one of the 3 finalists. So the Tuesday night clip, they rushed to put me in the next show. I go to the show. This girl in my acting class named Christina Kulik at the time, married to Bruce Kulik, lead guitarist of Kiss.
Jesus.
She was in my acting class. We were friends. They got married, and I said, Bruce, I need to borrow your wife. Because I was like, I need like a Christy Brinkley. I'm Billy Joel over here.
Yeah.
I need like a Christy Brinkley, show up on TV set. No problem, buddy. You can borrow my wife.
Wow.
I'm sitting in there with my suit like Billy Joel. Christina's sitting next to me. They show the clip. I win the $10,000.
No.
Win the $10,000 live on television. Dave Coulier hands me the check. It was like a $35,000 a week, I think, if you add it all up. And Monday, I went into the restaurant, Spumante, across from Jerry's Deli on the curve.
Yeah.
And I said, I think I'm in show business. I'm going to give you 2 weeks notice, and I'm just going to start, going for this. And that's what happened. And then for 30 years, I did stand-up acting, got writing for the Wayans brothers and for Wayne Brady, and then started doing my own stuff like you. And then that was like my arc, the early arc.
That is more than a... That's not just a light bulb moment. That's an origin story.
You didn't know any of that.
No.
I got one more quick
but I
one for
do
you.
remember how you were one of the first people to blow up. But you had like 3 years on me. And so that's a lot. But you did. You know what's funny? There's people that I really like some people, but they're like, how long have you been doing comedy? I'm like, they're like 9 years. And they haven't exactly.
But that's not a lot of time, really.
It's not, but within 3 years.
Yeah, I went from like literally
you
from
worked
scratch.
at the fucking every goddamn night, and these weren't lucky.
Yeah.
These were preparation meets preparedness meets opportunity. So it wasn't like a lucky break. It was a lucky break, but you were ready to take it after 3 years.
And comedy was booming. We
Yes.
were all getting opportunities. And remember, like one of your first agencies, APA, which I also was at. They were like starting comedy departments.
Yes.
For personal appearance and for comedic actors. It was exploding. The other crazy thing is, so now I'm graduating BU, and I got to move to California. I don't know where I'm going to live. I don't know anybody. So my mother, Jewish geography, starts talking to her Mahjong pals, and like, oh, my son's trying to move to California. Oh, I heard Maxine is renting a room in her house. She lives in Studio City. So my mother's like, do you know where Studio City is? I said, no.
This is before all this.
This is what so I just wanted to know what else was happening in those early years, just for comedy references. I meet this woman, Maxine, over the phone. Maxine babysat my mother at the beach when she was like 14 and my mother was 12. Like our grandmothers were friends. Like, hey, watch the girls. I'm going to go get the food. So they had been slightly in touch, and I talked to her on the phone, and Maxine was a little Jewish woman from Boston, rest in peace. And she went to New York, and she was a secretary at an entertainment law firm. And she was like early 20s. And they signed a new young comedian named Richard Pryor. So Richard Pryor came into the office, signed with the attorney, and him and Maxine hit it off. This is 60s, 70s, interracial relationships. Not like today. So they got married. She was the second.
Jesus.
Right. They got married, and they had a daughter, Elizabeth. That's incredible. Elizabeth is, on TED Talks. She's an author. She's a professor at Smith College. Maxine was my housemate. I rented a room in her house, in Richard Pryor's house, in Studio City, for $500 a month.
Wait.
Yes. I came out here to be a comedian, and I was living in Richard Pryor's house for 5 years, month to month, for $500.
and seeing Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, all this stuff.
The night. This is like
I'm Forrest Gump.
this simulation is real. Hold on a minute. I think I remember. Well, he also had Rain. Remember, Rain is his other daughter,
right, so
which I knew.
Right, he had a daughter, Rain, with she was a show business daughter. Elizabeth went to Tufts and got masters and everything.
So wait, the girl you live with, who what was her name?
Maxine.
Maxine
was Richard's second wife.
But the daughter was Elizabeth.
Elizabeth went to Tufts, but in the summer she came home and she worked on Harlem Nights with Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor.
But so hold on. So you lived in Richard Pryor's
house
for $500 a month. Was Richard ever there?
Never. He was already on Wife Number 4.
It was one of his houses.
I heard some animated conversations with attorneys over the time, but
wait, so it wasn't like his house where he lived.
It was his house that he lost in a divorce, basically, right? It was
Okay.
Yeah.
But the mojo's there.
Oh, she would tell me, like, I was a new comic, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to audition for Mitzi at the Comedy Store. She goes, oh, let me give you some advice. I remember Richard said, you have to make sure she's in the room, because sometimes they say she's in the, like, she knew stuff.
Yeah.
Like the first time I was doing TV, she's like, I remember when Richard was doing Merv Griffin. Like I remember he was focused on how he looked here up, because that's where the TV's going. She knew stuff.
She was, yeah.
She kind of just like real life stuff.
So the daughter owned the house, or no? Richard did, but she was like, I'm going to rent a room.
No, it was
$500.
Maxine was his ex-wife. I lived with the ex-wife.
$500 a month.
Well, that's 1991, and that's the thing. People ask me. I'm sure they ask you all the time for like advice. Like, I'm coming out to LA. I'm going to do comedy. Do you have any advice? Or I've just moved out here. Do you have any advice? I go, let me tell you something. First of all, it's so different. When I came out here, there was no internet. There was no YouTube. If people wanted to see your comedy, they had to come to the club.
Yeah.
They had to come to the club, and they did.
Yeah.
And you were a rock star, and you were in your environment, and they saw you with a live audience.
Yeah.
And they really, then it became send me a tape and all that. Also, it was $500 for rent, average.
Yeah.
And you could get 5 years later, I got my first apartment for $750. 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
That's a lot. That's actually a good deal, but that's still a lot. You
right
got
by
a 2-bed.
Gelson's, right by Gelson's there on Riverside. It was a different time. It was a different economy. So, but you could come out here and you could afford to struggle.
Yes.
You could afford to go to open mics, get a waiting job.
Yes.
Pay your bills and work on your craft. And now it's very difficult, right? Even acting class is expensive now.
Yeah.
And if you come out here and you're not financially prepared, then you're gonna end up in Pornhub. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Well, I tell people that their overhead, they got to cut all that. Don't have big overhead. I never had a lot of overhead.
Are you doing business planning too, like me?
No. Wait, dude,
That's good advice, though. Yeah.
This is insane. I knew some stories, but I didn't know that.
Can I give you one more Forrest Gump?
Are you kidding me, dude?
Okay.
I don't have to do anything. How's that Dunkin'?
Delicious, by the way. Shout out to Dunkin'. And
I went to the original store, Sarah Mello. I think it's from there.
Sarah's great. I know Sarah.
It's from, what is that part of Massachusetts?
Oh, she's from, I remember that. Yeah.
But Dad is, I think she's from the home of Dunkin'.
Braintree? Is it Braintree?
I don't know, but Dunkin'.
Oh, Needham. I think it was started in Needham, Mass, but I think Sarah was by the water. North Shore. I don't know.
Anyway, I love Dunkin'.
Sarah, DM when the thing airs and tell us what town you're from again in Boston. Okay, I'm working at Kent's Steakhouse in Framingham. It's a family-owned restaurant.
Wait. Where was it? Framingham?
Framingham, 20 miles west of Boston.
Okay, I know where that is. So Ken's was big here too, or no?
Ken's is a family restaurant.
It's
a
legendary
local restaurant. It got bigger and bigger and more popular. And then people liked the salad dressing so much, like the 70s, maybe the 60s. They said, hey, can we get some salad dressing to go? So they started giving people, they started bottling it.
That's what I see.
And then they started really bottling it. And now it's like $1 billion empire that you see in Ralph's and on airplanes and everything. Yeah.
And it's a Boston steakhouse.
Restaurants buy tubs of it.
Yeah.
It's like it's the Coke of salad dressing.
Okay, I got you.
But it was a family-owned restaurant, and all the kids lived in my neighborhood, all the grandchildren, and so I got a job in the dishwasher at 14. We got cash in an envelope every Wednesday, $2.50 an hour, minimum wage. Cash in an envelope because we're underage. All that stuff. Can't do that anymore. All that fun stuff. But one day I was a busboy, and I learned how to cook there. I did every job there. It was great. And I was a busboy, and sometimes celebrities would come in.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Bird, when he was Larry Bird, would come in with a T-shirt.
This is mid-'80s, early '80s.
This is, let's see.
84?
No, this is, I'm probably...
You're 52?
Sure. It was just like 80, 81.
Oh, it's early 80s.
What's the over-under on 52?
This is after Larry killed it in the NCAA.
81. Yeah.
This is
you know your stuff.
okay.
81 was when they went all the way.
This is when him and Magic were back and forth.
People forget Bird had to wait Celtics had to wait a year. They signed Bird, had to wait a year, and he did his senior year.
Yeah.
And lost to Magic in the NCAA finals.
It's crazy.
And then waited a year. They came back and they lost. They didn't get in the first year. Then the next year they ended up beating the Houston Rockets in the finals. And then 84 was the first year that they met that epic series. Okay, I'm at Ken's Steakhouse. I'm a 15-year-old busboy, so it's 70s. It's 80. It's 80, 81.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Newman walks in. Okay, Paul Newman, 1980, was about as big a movie star in the world. Walks in with his daughter. Comes to the table, and he says, hey, how you doing, young man? Is Ken here? And I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, he is. Okay. And he said, would you mind if I speak with him? So, of course not. Of course, Mr. Newman. You know. So they sit at the table, and I go through the kitchen, and I run to Ken's office in the back corner. I said, Ken, Paul Newman's here. He's asking about you. Okay, kid, I'll be right out. I'll be right out. So Ken comes out. I'm clearing the other two settings.
Mm-hmm.
It's a four-top. It's just Paul and his daughter. Clearing this. And as I'm there, Ken comes out, and this is the conversation. Ken, I started a camp for the sick children that we're helping, and we're starting to do some snacks to raise money, like popcorn. Maybe we could do a salad dressing or something like that. I was thinking we could get together with that. And Ken goes, Paul, whatever you want to do, we'll do. You want to do a salad dressing, we'll do. Just talk to Joe. So that was the conversation. And then 3 months later, the newspaper says, Ken Steakhouse announces they're going to bottle Newman's own dressing. You know how many billion dollars and dressings they've... Yeah. I was right there. It's like Forrest Gump.
Dude, you really are fucking Forrest Gump. Were you there when the Berlin Wall was taken down? Were you prior to that conversation?
My uncle...
Dude, this
my
is
uncle worked for Reagan.
insane.
So anyways, but the comedy...
You were there when Newman fucking came up with the dressing with Ken.
Yeah, they're like, let's do...
because people not listening, Newman's got a ton of products. But that was the first one. I remember
Newman's
seeing it at Ralph's.
Of course. It was everywhere. And now he has a whole line of dressings. And you could look on the back, and most of those are bottled at Ken's Foods, which is, still Ken's...
Which is from that area.
I'm still friends with the family. I did a show at the Improv in Palm Springs, and Kathy Hanna, hi Kathy Hanna, who is the daughter, the granddaughter of Ken, and probably getting checks every quarter for salad dressing still. She came out to the shows, and I mean, I still see them around the country, and when I go to Boston. So yeah, they were like the Kennedys,
dude. But wait,
some senior year of college, I worked down the Cape in Hyannisport, and I hung out on the compound, with some.
Well, my last name is
Patrick. I hung out with Patrick.
And
Patrick was young Patrick. He was what, Ted's son?
Probably.
Yeah. And Ted would come to the bar at closing time too back then. Ted Kennedy. And
I'm sure he.
Yeah.
He was still going there.
I did a shot with Ted Kennedy.
Really?
Part of the Forrest Gump legacy. Yes.
Wait. So